always right. That's why you have to go to different sources, just like the blue letter. The blue letter is not the only source. Actually, it's a watered down source. It compared to other scripted, I would say, Strongs, which were made by black scholars as well. They've got more stronger Strongs out there. Stronger Strongs with a double entendre. They have more powerful Strongs out there. Okay, made by the actual people that was actually there, and also the New Testament was not written in Greek at all. The oldest writings of the New Testament was in Hebrew. Keep that in mind. So the Zealots were a political movement in first century Second Temple Judaism. Notice now, of course, we know is no such thing as Judaism. That's the white man's version of, bro, because they put in everything religion, because temple, you so on and so forth. But notice it's connecting everything to Judaism, right? It's the temple, which sought to incite the people of Judea province to rebel against the Romans. So these were Jews that were zealots, basically. Okay, now you have zealots in different parts of the land. Okay, and there was a certain group. All right, they were political. There was a political movement. So this is the politics in Israel, who are Israelites by bloodline, but they were just higher up. Okay. And expel it from the Holy Land by force of arms, to rebel against the Roman Empire. Because now understand, the Zealots was to rebel against the Roman Empire because Rome had taken over all these land masses. So you guys understand history. You got to understand history. Rome at this time is taking over land masses. Play the game, like you played Assassin's Creed, and you play like you can play the game. I'll give you another one, Age of Empire. Okay, and all these Empire games that you used to play on the PC, God of War, so on and so forth. The Romans was taking over territory, so they was in Israel at the time, and the political movement with the Zealots. These were Israelites, a certain group of Israelites that was higher up. Some was in the land of Canaan, which is Palestine, basically, because you got to understand Israel had landmass all over, and the reason why it's pointing out these specific name, because we want to say, oh, Israel, just to believe it's Israel. You can't think like that when you're reading the Bible. You have to understand time periods, date, and so on, and land masses, so on and so forth, right? So when it's saying Zealots, when it's saying Simon the Canaanite, he's still an Israelite. It's just he was a certain set of an Israelite or a Jew, okay, which is the same thing basically. Judah is a fourth son of Israel, but these were the certain set that was rebelling against Rome. Okay, by force of arms, most notably during First Jewish War, Roman War, 66 to 70. Okay, zealotry was a term used by Josephus for a fourth sect or fourth Jewish philosophy during this period. Okay, now why is it Jewish philosophy if he's a Canaanite? You guys got to understand, most of the Canaanites had died off too, bro. The real Canaanites. Okay, you have to understand the times of Joshua. So this is just the Israelite from the land of Canaan. All the disciples were Israelites, bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it says of Chaldean origins. Where's the Chaldee? Where's Chaldee in that? Chaldee. Location in the Bible. Okay. Chaldea. Southern Babylonian. Well, hold on. Southern Babylonian, which is present day southern Iraq. Okay, it's up in that area. Slakia. So it's not in Israel. It's in Babylon. Okay. Which, if you understand Israelites, we were in Babylon. Okay, so it's of Chaldee origins compared to 87065. Oh yeah, keep this in mind. Yes, the Babylonians. Perfect. The Chaldee refers to the land of borders, the Persian Gulf between Arabia and desert. The Hebrew Bible uses the term Chazdim to refer to Chaldee, which is translated as Chaldeans in the Greek Old Testament. The Chaldeans were known for their knowledge of astronomy and astrology and kept detailed astronomical records for over 360 years, so on and so forth. Okay. Euphrates, where Persian go. Okay, so yeah, Slakia, my bad, era. So this is actually Babylon, okay? But this doesn't make him a Babylonian. The name traces back to that, okay? But you have to understand, Israel, we're in all these different lands. It's cool and black Babylon. Wasn't Israel slaves in Babylon? Wasn't we slaves in Assyria, Persia, Rome, or Greek Rome? So you have Israelites in every landmass at the time. That's why in Acts, I believe in Acts 11, I'm going to go back to Acts 11. Let's go. This is the reason why. Hold on. 19. This is the reason why in Acts 11 and 19, I'm going to read it. It says, now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but the Jews. None but the Jews. None but the Jews. You guys cannot make heathens get salvation. Yes, they're going to be saved for the kingdom, but they're not getting salvation. Okay, their blessing is to serve us and to serve our God. First and foremost, that's their blessing. Our blessing is to rule over them like Adam was supposed to do before he dropped the ball. Preaching the word to none else but the Jews. Only the Jews. Only the Jews only. You cannot get around that. Jews only. Jews only. Not heathens. Jews only. So it goes back to Matthew 10. So when you see, Peter, Andrew, his brother James, the Zebedee Zebedee, okay, and John, his brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, and Matthews, the publican, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus. Salakia. These names is kind of, it's not hard, but it's like you gotta, chop them up a little bit. And Simon the Canaanite. When it says Simon the Canaanite, these are all Israelites. Okay. Because you say, oh, Simon the Canaanite, but it's not synonymous with the land of Canaan, bro. He was a zealot, bro, who rebelled. Okay. As a matter of fact, zealots. Shalakia. Come on. Okay, anyways, matter of fact, let's get the word Zell. I just had it. I just want to get it again. Zealots in the Bible. Zeal. The scripture says the first word of zealot is zeal. Don't the scripture say, they have the zeal of God, but not according to knowledge? So these are the zealots who Simon the Canaanite was a part of. They had a zeal of God, but Christ gave them the knowledge because they were Israelites in that land. Okay, and also they were set up in. I just read they were set up in the land of Israel, so they rebelled against the Roman Empire. Okay. So I said that to say this is not the same Simeon in Acts 13 is not Simeon the Canaanite. Now, let's just say if it's not Peter, fine. I throw that in trash too. But we have to understand they were called nigger in Antioch. Why were they called nigger? Because he was Simeon the nigger, the black, right? And not only him, Barnabas and Simeon, Lucius of Syrian, so on and so forth. Now, people want to say because they were the Syrians was in Africa, but it says Lucius of Syrian. Notice it's separating people, you know what I'm saying? But you want to throw everything, because he even mentioned Herod or up with Tetra and Saul, right? And because they have been brought up with Herod and Saul, right? Because before they rebelled against, I believe, Herod, I think that's the same Herod, King Herod. Yeah. Before they rebelled, they came up with them, right? Meaning learning under him. See, I had to get to that point before they rebelled, because this is Herod, this is Herod, or King Herod. All right. Who was a heathen, by the way. So you have to understand Barnabas, Simeon, all of them, even Saul, came up under King Herod. Now, keep in mind, wasn't Saul mistaken for an Egyptian? Simeon is being called nigger. Lucius, these are all this. These are from the same. Let's just say if I'm going by this what the scholar's saying, because he said it's possibly, possibly that he could be from Syria. That doesn't mean he's actually from there. He said some scholars say, dude, we don't know where he's from. But let's just throw him in. Let's just throw Simeon with the Syrian, because they all came up out. They was brought up with Herod, meaning they came out of the Herod's ideology. Okay, the ways of Herod. Okay, including Paul. But they was called nigger though. So this Saul was called nigger. They was all called nigger. So let's just say it's not Peter. Let's say this is not Peter. This is Simeon the Syrian. It's not Simeon the Canaanite. But either way you slice it or dice it, it's still being called nigger. It lets you know that all the Israelites were called nigger and they looked like niggers. Canaanites was not called niggers. Like I said, the history of Canaan, most of them was wiped out, bro. Nobody was called nigger but Israelites. And in the word nigger, it just means black for all you sensitive people out there. And I'm talking to you people who don't know what words mean. Okay, so this is all this. He's calling all the prophets niggers, including Paul. They came out with Herod, so this was a certain group. Okay, yes, there's Simon the Canaanite, there's Simon Peter, and there's Simeon, who was brought up with out of the school of Herod. I'm gonna say that because you have to understand how systems work. You had teachers back then. You had ideologies going on back then. You had King Herod, who had scholars under him. Paul was one of them. Syrian or Lucius, Simeon, but they came out of that madness, okay? And they got into the truth, just like most of us coming out of the Christian church madness and came out of the Christian church and came into the truth. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing going on today that was going on back then. Herod had a heavy influence over the people. Okay, perfect examples like Louis Farrakhan. Him and Herod is perfect examples because Herod, he had a Jewish or a Israelite mom but a white father, and so does Farrakhan. He has a black mama but a white father. It's the same thing, and Farrakhan has a heavy influence over the black community. Okay, but this is Simeon the nigger. Okay, but all of them was called nigger. That's why it says now there were in the church that was at Antioch. The church, who was in the church at Antioch? Because keep in mind, Peter just got locked up. He tucked away. He got out because the angel, rescued him in Acts 12 in the chapter before this, right? So Peter just, got out. He got set free. All praise to Yahweh Simeon Shai. And now he's tucked away, right? Now we on the journey to Antioch, okay, which Antioch is just a city in Syria, okay, still in the Middle East, still in that territory. But it says now there were in the church. Notice the church is the body. It's not just one person, bro. That was at Antioch, certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called nigger, and Lucius of Syrian and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul. Now it says, and Saul was called nigger too. It said Saul was called a nigger. You cannot get around that. Wasn't Paul from the line of Benjamin? Were they called Jamaicans? Why is saying which had been brought up with Herod? Because it's giving you the synonymous or the synopsis of where these people came out from, and then it ends the sentence with and Saul. So they're right there, and that's the spirit of Yahweh Shimon Shai. So no, I don't think this is talking about Simon Peter. Okay, and now the word Simon Peter is used, yes, but this is not. I don't think this is talking about the disciple Peter, the rock, right? But either way you slice it and dice it, they was all called nigger, including Peter, the rock. They were all black men. That's the whole point. Okay, Christ was described as a black man in Revelation, but guess what? Now we have some new information that people skim over. Look at that. It says, and Saul. It finishes the sentence. Saul was called a nigger too. You cannot get around this. Saul. It says, and Saul, and Saul. Who was Saul? That's Paul. We can't grease that up. That's not talking about no other Saul. That's Paul, bro. Because you have to understand, even during Acts 12, Paul and Barnabas were doing the work. Look, it says this Acts 12 and 25. And Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem. Let's look at the word Saul so y'all won't grease this. Y'all cannot get around this. Either way you slice it and dice it. Just like in Songs of Solomon or Songs of Songs 1 and 5. Some people believe that Solomon's letter, talking to the Most High, trying to get deep metaphorically. And other scholars believe, that's a woman talking. Okay, when it says I'm black but commonly. But either way you slice and dice it, it's still an Israelite talking, because a Shulamite woman was a tribe in Issachar. So wherever you slice and dice it, they're still black people. Okay? Now, Shlakia. Let's go to the word Saul. Okay? This is Paul, the Jewish name of Paul. Now, we know Jewish means ish, but that's how the scholars wrote it, because this is modern day English. Okay, the Jew named Paul. That's how I read it. He was from the line of Judah, not from the tribe specifically of Judah, but from the nation of Judah. I will say that because you got to understand, during Jeroboam and Rehoboam, the split, they became the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. So Paul was a Jew because he was associated with the southern kingdom. Okay, this is easy. But this just sums all of it up. However you slice it and dice it, because we can say in Acts 12 that Peter, if you read Acts 12, Peter was locked up and he got out, and he thought it was a vision. He didn't even believe it. You see what I'm saying? Until he came to a senses and everything, and he realized that the Most High sent the angel to set him free. So he's tucked away. But it's saying but at the end of Acts 12. It lets you know Barnabas Saul was, it says when they had fulfilled their ministry and took with them John, whose surname was Mark. Now you read in a whole different other chapter and understand this not happening in a day or a few days. It's happening in a year span. You can read about that. Everybody want to keep it one day. You have to understand time periods, bruh. Oh, and today, we was in Oakland yesterday, or tomorrow we're gonna be in Chicago, or and the next day no, this didn't happen like that. Yeah, it took days to get to the year, but I'm saying everybody want to read this as if it happened in one bulk. It's a time period stretched out. You see, I believe Peter got killed in 65 AD. So it's a time period. Okay. So I don't even have to get no further, but you guys have to understand how the Bible works. And also, I have to correct myself on this because, just not reading enough or going with people's word. Saul name was not changed to Paul by God. There was just his surname, Shaul. Because notice how it's used Shaul, and I showed you earlier how I used Paul. It's just the same. It's just the scholars, when they translated the scriptures, you had some Greek scholars, you had Hebrew scholars. Really, you had all Hebrew scholars, but you got to understand how the Greek got in there. So the Greek scholars were saying, okay, Saul in Acts 11, so on and so forth, did this, that. And then when they get to 15, it's like, oh, Paul. It's just a translation. It's the same people. That's not a contradiction. It's just how translation works, bruh. Some people can get mixed up in translation. It's still the perfect word of God, but that's what makes the Bible beautiful, because of that, because of language. But you have to understand language, how it works, though. Okay? Just like I'll give an example of like Mark, Luke, and John, or Luke, Matthews, and Mark, right? Same story. It's the exact same story. Now, it's told. Now, I think Luke. Now, I believe Luke is the first, story in the New Testament. Then it's, I believe, Matthew's, then Mark, or Luke, Mark, and Matthew's, in that order. So once you understand that timeline, then you can piece it together. But it's telling the same story, bro. If you go to the latest parts of Luke, it gives you examples of, the rich man Lazarus. Matthew's, it give you his birth, death, and resurrection. Mark and Luke does the same thing. It's telling the same thing. So you have people who are lazy minded, and it's not no shout out to no brother in the new covenant. I'm just saying people in the world and people who question the Bible, like the pro blacks, whatever. Because I heard them bring this out a lot of times. It's they're lazy minded that you don't understand. He's saying the same thing, so it's no contradiction. It's just giving the same story from a different point of view. That's all it is doing. So when you see Saul, then Paul, that's not a contradiction. It's the same person. It's just how language translate. When you see Passover and Easter, bro, it's just a mistranslation. That's all it is. That's no contradiction. Yes, Easter is going to fuck off, but you guys can't be overtly paranoid of shit to where you just throw the baby out with bathwater. You got to understand, oh, I get it. They just mistranslated. It's not saying celebrate Easter. Easter is bullshit. It's Ishtar. But the translator put it in there. Now, could it have been some wicked scribes writing along with King James scholars? Of course it could have been. Or I would say pagan scholars, of course. Okay, but this is the closest thing that we got. And it's all due to research. Okay, you have to research. So with that being said, I hope you guys was edified. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakar Kadash. Shalom.